Oh, yeah. Can you dig it? Well, hello, travelers, friends, TROUBBLE. Nice to see you. How's it going out there on a Friday night? I am Jake Johnson, and this is Untethered Live. Welcome to the show. Come on in, take your shoes off, have your cup of coffee. It's going to be lovely. Decked out in blue and ready to rock and roll. It is not in your head. Times they ain't a-changin'. Something's weird in the neighborhood. Have you noticed? Have you noticed what's going on around you? If I asked you to tell me what era I'm talking about, and I introduced you to a man wearing a fedora and a casual black suit and tie with a pocket kerchief, cuffed pants, and shiny shoes, what era is that? 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s? You'd be right, 45 to 50. If I said bobby socks and a poodle skirt, you'd say 1955. If I said knee-high tube socks with 3 stripes and little short cotton shorts with a piping around the bottom, you'd say 1970s, roller skates. If I said leg warmers and leotards and hair ponytail on the side, you'd say the 80s, right? If I said flannel shirt tied around the waist and sloppy straight hair, you'd say 90s. But what would you say? What would I describe to you about the 2000s? Slightly less 90s? Yeah. About the same thing? Nothing new? What about the 2010s? Or the 2020s? The roaring 20s? What style is the 20s? Do you know? Have you thought about it? How do you define the decade 2025? From 2020 to 2030 to 2030. How do you define that decade? What is it? Maybe a Tesla truck? Nope. That was here earlier. The world has stopped because we've stopped thinking about ourselves in terms of decades. Think about it. We don't think about generations anymore. I'm Gen X. I'm actually Gen RX. There's a little difference there. But yes, the world does not produce generations anymore. It produces dumb people staring at their phone. This thing right here has destroyed the world and needs to be cleaned with badness. That's what it is. Technology has ruined people. Now, I know what you're saying. You can go back to the 30s and find people at the subway staring at the newspaper. Same thing. Not the same thing, because they got up from the newspaper and went and lived their lives. This is an extension of the brain. It does not leave the hand. Ever. If you walk out of the house without it, you have a panic attack. I watched my daughter have a sure enough fit when I took her phone away from her. This is when I began to realize this is more than just an apparatus or a tool. This is a part of the human body. This may be the only thing I'm guilty of in the way of child abuse, was letting my children have these. That may have been a step too far. That may be the Antichrist or the mark of the beast. I mean, it is in the hand and it is in the forehead, right? Right hand, forehead. Mark of the beast. Could be. I don't know. What I do know is that it has destroyed the world as we know it. And no one can think beyond 10-second TikTok clips anymore. You meet somebody with rational thought, and they just dismiss you because you don't exist. They can't fathom what you're talking about. It's amazing. Rich S., you're first in chat. You get the gold star. Did it. Rich says, oh, no, you don't, Amy Elizabeth. I get the special trophy tonight for being the first in chat. Yes, you do. And Amanda says, with pride, here's your gold star, Rich. You deserve it. And hi. And Amanda says, hello, Untethered Live family. Good to see you all. Happy Friday. I hope everyone had a good week. How you, Jake? How are tonight? Little froggy, but better. I'm on a massive amount of steroids and albuterol and whatever's in this, Mucinex, and whatever's in that, and whatever's in that. And I'm a little jittery and a little bit peaking, but I'm better. I can breathe better. Most of the day I can talk better. I just happen to be hoarse right now, but for the most part of the day I've been able to talk pretty good. Let's just see how it goes. Amanda says, if you want to see the new Facebook page, here's the link. That is facebook.com/UntetheredLiveChillin'. It is a great place. The ladies are putting up some fantastic memes, and you can post anything you like there. Go check it out. Also, don't you want to have a cup of coffee with me? I got my cup. Go to the kitchen, get yourself a cup, and let's have a talk about this decade and the others. If you don't have a cup, though, you can get one in the description below. I recommend the first one. It does have my face on it, but there's others. We have stainless steel tumblers, the big ones and the little ones with locking lids, and the Untethered Live Bible Study logo on the front and on my platforms on the back. Coffee tastes great for hours. Looks good on your coffee table. And if you chuck it at somebody to leave a mark, get one while supplies last, or a t-shirt, whatever. Like, subscribe, share, support, join, or super chats are available in the chat box. You want to show a little bit of love, you want to throw a little clang-a-lang my way if you want to.
Now I lay me down to sleep. Pray the Lord my soul to keep. If I die before I wake, feed Jay, my best friend, right through it all. Feed Jay. If I die before I wake, feed Jay.
All right, there's enough of that. Do that right there at CashApp, $JakeJohnsonBand. And also hit that like button. It's important, it's free, and it works. So go do that. All right, back to you guys. The Smoking Auditor's in. He says, stopped in early to light up that like button before I go into work. Thank you very much, Smoking Auditor. How you doing, buddy? Long time no see. We need to come chat with me for a little while someday. Hang out. I'm here 5 nights a week. You can find a minute. Come hang out with me. We miss you around here. And thank you for the like button. Amanda says, hi, Smoking. Nice. Thanks, man. Have a good night. And we miss you around here. Right on. What it is. I'm here, he says. I knew you'd make it. I had no doubt. I had it written on my calendar. What it is will be here on the 25th. I believe it's true. How you doing, buddy? Nice to see you. Amanda says, hi, what it is. And Fab Daddy's here. He says, is this the short bus stop? Yes, and we're taking all passengers now. You can sit near the front. Come on in, all aboard. To the crazy train. Yeah. R.I.P. Ozzy Osbourne. And Hulk Hogan. Can I get a hoorah from the Hulkamaniacs? The world's coming to an end, folks. Slowly but surely. I have proof. I don't know that I can articulate it, but trust me, it makes sense in my mind. And if that's good enough for you, it's good enough for me. But I'll do my best to tell you what I see. Amanda says, hi, Fab Daddy. And yes, it is the short bus stop. Fab Daddy says, skinny jeans? Yep, skinny jeans was a early 90s thing. What it is says, hello, Amanda and Jake at Untethered Live. Hello, what it is. Nice to see you, buddy. Amanda says conspiracy theory after conspiracy theory. Well, that's every decade. That's been going on forever. In fact, I forget what year it was. There was one of those meetings that you like to watch. The Senate gets together and has a hearing, and it was for the director of the CIA, and he coined the term conspiracy theory because people were asking questions about that bullet that shot JFK, the one that magically appeared on the gurney with no markings on it whatsoever, a brand new bullet that hit him twice from two different angles. And people were asking questions, and he called it a conspiracy theory. That's where the term was coined, to describe people asking questions about the people who are obviously lying to your face. So, yeah. The difference between a conspiracy theory and a conspiracy fact is about 5 weeks. Crocs, says Fab Daddy. Nope, that'd be early 2010s. 2020 does not have a defining characteristic. It's just rehashing the old stuff. In fact, if you look at Gen Z, they shop at Target. They wear the stuff that old people wear. The in vogue fashion is looking like you're worried about your mortgage. Or, how many hours you work this week. That's what kids are wearing these days. Same fashion. They don't have their own style. There is no group of people that are uniquely 2020ans. What it is a good old bologna sandwich and a rocking chair and a glass of unsweet tea. Blah! That's how I define 2025. Oh, you had me up into the unsweet tea. I can't do it. I'm a Southern boy, and that's sacrilegious. I'm pretty sure it's in the Bible. Thou shalt put sugar in the tea. Amanda says, unsweet tea? What's that? Something a good Southern girl should never hear past her delicate ears. Linda Davis says, happy Friday, all. Hey, Linda, how are you, sweet lady? Nice to see you. I hope you're smiling. I'm smiling for you. Amanda says, hi, Linda Hun. Debbie's here. She says, pajamas and outwear and solidarity existence, right? Victim culture. That's really all they got. And the pajamas thing, no, they're just schlubby. They just put on whatever's in their drawers. Not that they're wearing pajamas. It's just that they didn't dig deep enough to find pants. That's it. That's all. If they find sweats, they'll wear them. If they find plaid, whatever, they'll wear them. Slip on whatever's at the edge of the bed. Total lack of interest in the world. I have heard people say, yeah, we're the first generation that's not going to be able to own our own home or buy our own car. I'm like, you're also the first generation that won't get out and get a job. I bought my first car, true, but I worked 40 hours a week when I was 14 years old. Hard labor, not no bullshit typing job. Or McDonald's. I was out laying block. That's why I could buy my own car, because I worked for it. I realized that inflation has caused money to go up. And I realize that things are way more expensive now than they used to be. But I guarantee you can still do it. You just have to get out and do it. It ain't going to come to you. That's for sure. Fab Daddy says, happy Friday, Linda. And what it is says, my taste has changed. I used to drink sweet tea all the time, but now I can't stand it. That is weird. I understand what you mean, though, for real. My tastes have changed somewhat, too, as I got over a certain age. Something about being old. Taste buds are doing different things. That happens when you're in your 20s, too. There are things that I distinctly remember liking a lot that I just don't care for anymore. Hang on, my chat jumped. Amanda says, hi, Debbie. And Linda says, how old are your kids, Jake? 21 and 22, I think. They're either 21 and 22 or 20 and 21. I really don't know. I've kind of lost count. I haven't seen them in a while. Amanda says, I want to argue with me and taking breathing treatments. If you don't do it more than once a day, it won't work. I'm just saying, hard-headed man. I don't need it more than once a day. I don't need it, period. It does help, though. What it is steroids makes a person very irritable. And also a little bit jittery. For me, anyway. I feel like I'm anxious, like I got butterflies in my stomach or something. I don't like it. Amanda says, that sucks what it is. Fab Daddy says, can drink my tea hot or cold, sweet or unsweetened. No, if it's hot, it needs to be coffee. If it's tea, it needs to be sweet. And no lemons. Lemons and teas are two different trees. And there shall the twain e'er meet. Amy Elizabeth says, hey, Amy. How are you, my soldier? And Debbie says, Amanda, it might be time to beat Jake into submission. You see that? That's hellfire and brimstone right there. You see that? I'm scared of that one my damn self. She ain't gonna be beating on me for nothing. I'll cloud up and rain all over her. Amanda says, hi, Amy. Amy says, I'm going off the rails on a crazy train. I'm with you, Amy. Let's dive. Amanda says, I'm going to have to. I can't make him better if he fights me on everything, shaking my head. I'm not fighting you. I just know what I need. I'm taking what I need. I'm doing something. I'm doing the thing. You just ain't going to be cramming it down my throat every 5 minutes. I'm doing it. And I'm getting better, see? Fab Daddy says, Mama, I'm coming home. One day, not today. My mom understands. Amy says, what you gonna do when the Hulkster comes for you? I'm gonna rock and roll. Debbie says, Amy, get naked and submit. Right on. Amy says, I'm going through changes. The Aussie song, not the changes women go through. I got it. Amanda says, I can't stand Target. Me either. I don't like I don't like this world very much. I'll be first one to admit it to you. I like old stuff. I like old things. I like old ways. I like old people. I just don't like this world. I don't like what it's turned into. This is not what I had in mind. Not my career. Not my disposition. Not my gut. Not any of it. I don't like it. Not the loss of my voice or the numbness in my hands. This is not what I signed on for. I spent a lifetime to be good at something. To lose it on a whim. I don't appreciate that. I'm working hard, trying to make some semblance of sense out of what I am. You got to do what you got to do, though. Keep rolling. You can't stop. Linda says also, Chuck, Mignon or Connie Francis. Did they die? I know Connie Francis. I don't know the Chuck guy. Amy says, only way to drink unsweetened tea is pour it down the sink. Or pour some sugar on me. Yeah, fire it up. What it is says, I'm sweet enough. I don't need no sugar in my tea. That's why I'm drinking and sweet. I got lips and sugar, and they taste like candy. I hear you, buddy. I reckon I need all the sweet I can get because I'm mean as a rattlesnake, serious as a heart attack. Amy says the 80s style jeans would cut off, rolled up with a bandana tied around the thigh. That was a period, yep. Like 83, 84. What it is says, I'm sweet enough. I don't need no sugar in my tea. I feel like I've read this. And that's why I'm drinking and sweet. I got lips and sugar and they taste like candy. I did read that already. My chat jump? What happened? Rich says, good grief. Right? Good grief. Curious Squirrel, I hadn't seen you in a while. How are you, sweet lady? Says, I was cleaning hotel rooms and cottages at 14 for $2.90 an hour. Amen. I was making a whopping $8 an hour at 14. And I thought I was killing it. I probably was. I think minimum wage then was like $3 an hour or something like that. But I made $8 an hour for a long time. That's how I bought my first car and my first house. I didn't buy it. I rented it. But, How you doing, Curious? Nice to see you. Been a long time. I thought you forgot all about me. Amanda says, hi, Squirrel. How are you been? Long time no see. Amy says, I had to go retro. The only clean jeans I had clean are too long. Make the best of what I've got. Right on. Well, I came from a family that practiced hand-me-downs to other families, and then they gave their stuff to us. And, you make do with what you got. I was wearing Izod shirts before it became a fashion statement, and shoes with Velcro on them because that's what we could afford. And I got laughed at for wearing those things, and now those people are trying their best to find those things to wear. But I got beat up in school for wearing those things. All right. Curious Squirrel says, Amanda Banhammer, hi. Patty's here. She says, hi, Saturday all. Happy Saturday all. It will be when it gets Saturday. It's Friday right now. How are you, Patty? Nice to see you. Amanda says, hi, Patty. And Amy says, happy Friday, Patty. Fab Daddy says, Big Boots is 2020. No, I'm pretty sure that's Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure 3. Big Boots. Patty says, well, that is right, Miss Amy. Curious Squirrel says, I'm doing okay. Bit too warm for us Northerners. I wish I had a pool. What you do, it's called a bathtub. It's a small pool, and you can't do a lot of swimming, but you can get in the water. Turn ice cold as you can get it. Or a water hose and a 5-gallon bucket if you need to. Amanda says, I hear you, Squirrel. I wish I had one too. You do. It's called a bathtub. I might have prized you out of it, but you can get in it. Rich says, one day I'm going to walk around with a Tupperware cup filled with iced tea like Uncle C. I don't know who Uncle C is. But I hear you. That's how I drink whiskey from the jarro. Huh? Sigh? Yeah. Oh. I can't think of the show. Yeah, he's on the Redneck Show. There's a Redneck Show. Duck Dynasty. Okay. Uncle Si off of Duck Dynasty. Tupperware filled with tea. Got it. What it is says, I like drinking pickle juice. It keeps me from having cramps from all the sweating. Is that what'll do it? I've been having lots of cramps in my hands and in my arms. I guess they're cramps. It's like my muscles lock up. Like my when I'm working, my fingers will just go, and then I can't bend them. I think that's from being dehydrated. You think pickle juice will fix that? I'll certainly give that a try. Because I sweat a lot, too. I sweat like Tom Jones. And a lot of energy. I put off big D energy. So, a lot of that going on. Amanda says, yes, what it is. Drink it right from the jar. Fab Daddy says, drinking vinegar can cause cramps, too, can it? 6 of one, half a dozen the other, I guess. Amy says, the singer from Golden Earring died, too. I don't think I've ever heard of that band. What it is says, Jake, I can see you all dressed in latex with a ball gag in your mouth and a dog collar and a leash in Amanda's hands and you just at her beck and call. You think that? Is that how you see me? I'll tell you what. Visually, never. Visually, I'm the boss. I'm the man. I make the decisions. You do what I say, period. Emotionally, physically, metaphysically, she's the boss. I do what she needs. Because I'm a man, and that's my job. So, spiritually, yeah, ball gag. But you'll never see it. Patty says, excuse me, I think if you have control over something, well, but if no control, it's not to be worried about. I think I understand what you're saying. Well, this is true. You don't have any control over life. It just kind of does what it's going to do. Oddly enough, though, it seems to be predictable. Almost like we knew it's coming because you can see it's happened. History doesn't repeat itself, but it does rhyme. It's a lot like there's a plan to the whole thing, though. Amanda says, LOL, what it is, that would be awesome. Amy says, Patty is ahead of the times. I believe she is. Bill Bennett, what's up, buddy? How you doing? Hello, Untethered Live family. Hope you all are doing great. Happy Friday. Happy Friday to you. I hope you're doing great. How's your family? Fab Daddy says, hello, Bill. Amy says, hi, Bill. Kissy face. Amanda says, hi, Bill. Amy says, Phil Robertson died recently, too. Yeah, that was a couple months ago, wasn't it? That's the guy from the 700 Club, right? And Amanda says, yep, pickle juice will stop it, Jake. And then you can't give me any more crap about me drinking it. Well, I wouldn't be drinking it because I like it. You drink it because you like it. That's weird. Fab Daddy says, Theo from Cosby Show drowned in Costa Rica. Yep, I heard about that. Kind of weird how things like that come in threes. I bet 50 years ago when we were milling around, 40 years ago, watching The Cosby Show and listening to Ozzy Osbourne and watching WWE Hulkamania, I bet we couldn't have predicted that those three individual people would die in the same week. Their lives are entangled because they all ended at the same time. Interesting. I don't know that that's a thing. Correlation doesn't mean causation, but it seems like things like that happen a lot. It's just interesting to point out, It's an after the fact kind of thing. You couldn't know that before the fact. Amy says, Radar Love. Okay, Golden Earring. I do know that song. Kevin Bernard, what's up, my brother? He says, just drop by to hit the like button. We'll be back later. Well, come on back, Kevin. We miss you, buddy. How you doing? I hope you're doing well, sir. Amanda says, we need to wrap Willie Nelson in bubble wrap and hide him. Yeah, and David Allen Coe, which I'm not even sure he's still alive. Amanda says, hi, Kevin. And Ladina Simmons is here. She says, hi, Amy, and hi, all. Hey, Ladina. How are you? My Ladina. Oh, my Ladina. Sorry. I got lost. Who did that song? My baloney or something, whatever it is. Amanda says Phil Robertson is Cy from Duck Dynasty. Oh, well, there's another Robertson, Pat Robertson. That's the guy from the 700 Club. Okay. Amanda says, hi, Ladina. Fab Daddy says, hey, Ladina. Ladina says, Phil Robertson was the dad on Duck Dynasty. Okay. I had him confused with Pat Robertson from the 700 Club, who died recently also. A while back, though, I think. What it is says, you need to take magnesium and potassium pills throughout the day with also electrolytes You do a lot of sweating. I do. I have a very hot disposition. I sweat really easy. Even when I'm not hot, I'm sweating. Bill says, crazy how lots of things come in threes. Isn't it, though? 3 is the number of completion, so it makes sense. But Ladina says, kinks. No. Maybe. I think they have another name. I think there's another band that does it. It might be the Kinks. I can't remember exactly. I was thinking it was another weird named band, but you might be right. Amy says, hi, Ladina. Let me look it up. Now it's going to bother me. Who did My Sharona? Amanda? My Sharona. It might be the Kinks. The Knack. The Knack. It isn't the Kinks. It's the Knack, but close. Amy says, hi, Ladina. And Fab Daddy says, I had to go to the hospital for lack of phosphorus this year. I started licking matches. Phosphorus? You weren't glowing in the dark enough? That's weird. Debbie says, my Sharona. Nice. Amy says, Ladina, you have to be careful in this chat saying kinks. Yeah, there's some kinky people in this chat, Ladina. I hope you're one of them, but, if you're not, just be aware. Watch where you step. You'll get something in between your toes for sure. Linda Davis got it. She says, the Knack. Yep, the Knack. And Rich says, you ain't what? You ain't what? Kinky? I didn't say everybody was kinky. I said there was some kinky people here. Ladina says, never been sang to the tune of My Sharona. Usually I get Maria from West Side Story. Well, I'm different. But we could go, Ave Ladina. You are whatever you want to be, Ladina. I just love pointing it out. That's all. Rich says a freak. I didn't say freak. I said kinky. That's not freaky at all. I can show you freaky. This isn't it. Freaky is a saddle and a set of jumper cables, baby. You know what I'm talking about? Lots of leather and shoe polish. Come on now. Hey. Amy says pickle stuff between your toes. Right? What it is says the Knack is the name of that band. Thank you, what it is. You're absolutely right. Amanda says, I'm kinky as hell. I'm kinky as hell. That's a good country song. I need to write that. That one is Son of a Bitch, I'm Tired. Son of a Bitch, I'm Tired. So damn tired. I get it. Linda says, too bad, Rich. You don't know what you're missing. If you just let a little bit of that kink out, you might uncover a whole world of pleasure you didn't know existed. Mental, physical, and everything else. And toes. Ladina says, ha! Debbie says that pickle stuff can be salty. Yes, it can. Mine tastes like Mountain Dew. I don't know why. Richard says, is it weird that I'm getting a pedicure tomorrow? No nail polish. Yes, Rich, that's weird. I mean, you do what you want to do. Just don't get any of it on me. I'm not here to judge you, but all in all, between you and me and the fence post, it's kind of weird. You do your thing, though. Fab Daddy says, Rick James, bitch. Super freak. Yep. I like Rick James. I like his bass player, Bootsy. Debbie says, kinky is using a feather. Perverted is using the whole chicken. Perverted is producing the egg. Amy says, Debbie is a joke stealer. That's why I like her. I'm a joke stealer too. Listen, I'm an entertainer. They call it an act. That's what I do for a living. I act. What do you want to hear first? The shit I stole or the shit I made up? Because I got both. I am a repurposer of good material. That's what I do. That's where my genius lies. I take something that's good and I make it shiny. But it's already here. I'm not that creative. I pull things from everywhere. If you listen close and pay attention, you'll even hear some stuff you've heard before. But not the way I tell it. I'm an actor. The one thing I do that other actors don't do is I'm like Penn and Teller. I tell you the bullshit I'm handing you so that you know it's bullshit and enjoy it for the mastery of me putting it together in that fashion. It's a little different way of enjoying something, but there is a value in it. Amanda says, a guy that's not kinky worries me. He's hiding something. Yep. There's a lot of that in the world, too. Very, very hard to find people that are comfortable being themselves. This is a thing I've noticed over the years, and I pay attention closely to how people act. And you'd be surprised how many people try really, really, really hard to be a thing. And they don't pay any attention to what they actually are. They're so busy, so focused on trying to put forth this image. Like the guy with the white t-shirt and the slick back hair, you see him everywhere. That is a particular kind of guy. Probably been in jail, probably from Texas, probably trying to make a good impression on the world, probably trying to make amends for what he did in his younger days. That guy. I've seen him 1,000 times. Same thing with every other clique you can think of. They're types of people. Very few people that just try to be who they are, right? That don't click into a particular style or genre or personality type. I'm one of those people. I beat against the groove. I march to my own drum because my mother told me to do that when I was a kid, and I listened to her. And I cannot tell you that it has served me well, because that would be untrue. It would be much, much, much simpler for me to fall in line with a group, have a tribe, pick a side, pick a team, and do what they do so that I fit in. No. Everything I do and everywhere I go, I have to carve out my own path. I have to make space for me. It makes it a very singular world that I live in because there's nobody else like me. I'm the only one. You can't compare me to anybody. Is that good? I don't know. It might be. It might not be. But it is. That's the way it is. So I can't tell you that it's the right thing to do. But if you are the kind of person that does your own thing, just know that's what you have to look forward to. Everything you do, everywhere you go, you got to make room for yourself, because there is no room for you. And Debbie says, you stole it from me first, Amy 𝕂𝕚𝕣𝕖. Amy says, I think I saw it on a meme. Right? Rich says, I knew it was weird. A gal talked me into it. Now, that's not weird. If you're doing it for the chick, I understand totally. Say no more. You didn't lead with that. You said, I'm going to get a pedicure. Yeah, that's weird. If you're doing it to get in the panties, it's totally understandable. Men have done a lot worse for a lot less. And promised me a happy ending if I got one. See? Not sure what she means by that, though. That's a little tug and smile. Fat Daddy says, slapstick for the dipsticks. Dipsticks? Bess, you bastard. Don't be a dipstick. I woke up in the middle of the night reciting that line once. Scared the hell out of Amanda. It was funny. Apparently I was watching his video in my head or something. Sabco, whatever his first name is. Sabco is his last name. Amanda says, oh, please, Rich, you are full of it. He might not be. I've done things like that for girls. Debbie says, my first boss told me that years ago. Told you what years ago? Don't be a dipstick. Rich says, I think what she means is that she might be giving me breakup sex. I'm not sure, though. If she's trying to convince you to do something about your feet, you might be right. If she's trying to bribe you into doing something about your feet, you might be right. But a good man can turn breakup sex into makeup sex. There's a very delicate way you do that. Fab Daddy says, my boss calls me a portobello. By that you mean mushroom? It keeps you in the dark and feeds you shit all day? Keeps me in the dark and feeds you shit all day. And watches me grow. Gotcha. That's not how portobellos are raised. It's a different kind of mushroom. But still a funny joke. Patty says, Fab Daddy, I like it. What it is says, hit that like button, everybody. Come on. Like, hit the like button. Like, hit the like button. Let's go. It's free. ... That's all you got to do. I am coming out of my skin, boys and girls. I'm not high. I'm just jittery. But I don't like it. Those steroids are nothing to joke about. Hopefully, it's fixing whatever's wrong with my chest, though. We'll just have to see. What it is says, do you know why we are here? Because we are not all there. True. You couldn't be there because you're here. There is a very interesting subject, though. It's everywhere, but here. Amanda says, oh no, please. What? No, the oh please. Oh, I got it. Use quotation marks so I understand what you're doing. No, comma, quotation marks. The oh please on he didn't know what she meant by a happy ending. Yeah. It's all in how a girl says. You'd be surprised how many guys do not get the hint when you think that they should. Girls have this thing where they try to give you signals. Guys, they don't pick up signals. They don't understand. Or they see it and they're scared that they might be wrong. Because, see, the onus is on them. If they advance based on your giving them a hint and they're wrong, well, he's just ruined his chance of having anything to do with you, and he's probably going to get called out in front of everybody and embarrassed if he's wrong. So a guy's not going to move on your little hints, your little flippy of the hair and your little eye contact and all of that stuff. So if he said she told him he'd get a happy ending, he does not want to jump to the conclusion of what the happy ending means, because if he's wrong, can you imagine how embarrassing that would be? You got to be like me and not care. It's the only way. Rich says, are we supposed to speak woman? Yeah, but you can't, because they're weird and they changed a lot. Fab Daddy says, whether the weather be cold or the weather be hot, we'll be together whatever the weather, whether we like it or not. Arg. I like that. Debbie says, $1 make you holler. In my best Asian voice. Me so honey. Remember that song? $1 make you holler. No girlfriend you like? Why you have no boyfriend? Amanda says, LOL, signals. Like a naked ass all over you. Ding, 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 ding. Well, I have a naked ass and it's on me all the time, and that is not telling me anything unusual. Amy says, someone wrenched the door lock. So far, I can't seem to undo it. I need to find a fulcrum for leverage. Find a rock or something hard, a bolt or something that you can put under your thing and or whatever you got to do there. They wrenched the door. You mean like they turned it? twisted it, or actual with a wrench. That's not good. What it is, well, when the black dress hits the floor, I take that as a positive hint that love making is about to ensue. Well, I believe me, I agree with you. However, especially in college years, that does not mean yes. I know what you're thinking. Yes, it does. Your hand in my pants means yes. No, because at any moment, until you enter, at any moment, she can say no. And now she has a valuable excuse that she can use against you that will ruin your life. Believe me, until it's happening, you can be accused of the R word. And sometimes after that, make no mistake about that, women are diabolical that way, especially the young ones. The older ones ain't like that, especially from our era and backwards. They're not like that. A woman from my generation would never do that unless she learned how to do it from the younger generation, which that's rare. But this next generation after us, they all do that. You got to be careful. Always get confirmation. I know it's unsexy. It's the most unsexy thing in the world. Nothing dries up a woman's panties faster than, can I touch you now? No, that's terrible. But trust me, get confirmation. Rich says, it might not have been by accident, Amy, but it wasn't me. Fab Daddy says, fulcrum depends on the length of the shaft prying. Fulcrum? Is it a V or an F? Ladina says, sounds like a job for maintenance, Amy. It is a job for maintenance, Ladina. And maintenance is happening. Amy says, consent can be withdrawn at any time also. Yep, according to the posters on the bathroom walls at work. I know, right? It bothers me that world has come to that. In my opinion, this is my opinion. You can agree or disagree. But I don't even think sex is even mildly interesting until it's borderline that. It has to be. It's a very give and take, very vulnerable, very open power play between adults. And there is power involved. And there is other things involved too. There's the heart and the everything. It's got to be borderline or it's not even good. You want it to be a little bit rough, a little bit tense, a little bit emotional, a little bit stressful, a little bit good. Any sex below that isn't even worth having. Not really. Think about it. The best sex you ever had in your life. Tell me honestly that if you walked in on that, what you would think. Amy says, grammar and spelling rules do not exist after 9 p.m. They do if you want them to be read properly. Pardon me. I might be wrong about that, but in my world, sex is sexy. Rich S says there's a sign like that in the men's room next to the tampon dispenser in the Minnesota governor's office, right? Old Tampon Tim. The fastest way to dry up a pair of panties. Bill Bennett says, after rewatch, too much going on. God bless you guys, all rock. Bill, God bless you, sir. Thank you for being here. We love you. Ladina says, grammar and spelling rules do not exist. When I start texting, I suck at texting. So do I. Got to go slow. And I've also heard that using proper grammar and proper spelling is considered an insult to the new generation. They consider that being angry. You don't spell properly unless you're angry or something's going on. I'm sorry. If I want to read something, I want to read the thing. That's what grammar is for, to tell you how to read it. You can't read it if it's all a run-on sentence. There's no way to know what the writer means. Grammar is important. Words have meanings. Inflection has meanings. Personality has meaning. Pause has meaning. Exclamation has meaning. But how do you know how to do that if it's not written? I mean, we have symbols that mean those things. Yes, this is considered yelling, says Amy. Yes. What it is says, I will have a consent contract to be signed by the woman when the time comes, right? You have to. These days, you have to. Some guys have had their lives destroyed because they were out getting laid one night and just didn't read the signs. Just didn't understand what was happening. You can't let that happen to you guys. You got to hold yourself back. You got to watch number one. If number one don't survive, nobody survives. Believe that. Amy says, I got the door lock. I used a screwdriver as my pry bar. Nice. Good going. And Amy says, this is considered yelling. Yes, it is. To me, it's considered emphasis on this point. But whatever. Amy says, women who file false allegations should face consequences. I agree with that, 100%. They should not be allowed to get away with that. But in this day and time, it's a free ride for them. Ladina says, just give them the thumbs up sign. They hate that too, right? Right? You must have watched the same video I watched today. So that was next. That's the same thing, the thumbs up. It's considered sarcastic. Really? I thought it was okay. Or I agree with you. Or, yeah, buddy. I can't keep up. I don't do emoji talk. I don't do it. I made a decision a long time ago when I was a kid that I was going to write in print because screw cursive. And I write in print, and I'm good at it. And then I decided when texting came along that I was going to write sentences to the people I'm talking to so that they understand what my intentions are. And I stick to it. Occasionally I'll use an emoji after I've written the sentence, but I don't ever use it for the sentence. So if you ever get a sentence from me and it's full of emojis, question who it came from. It wasn't me. And Amy says, right on. Or, I got you. Punch, swipe. What is that? Is that a stairs with a shovel on it? I don't even know what that is. Oh, I know what it is. It's toes. Okay. Somebody painting toenails. I got it. I found this emoji, Rich. Painting toenails, getting a pedicure. What you should do is tell them to give you the French tips. And that way, when your girlfriend sees it, you can say, see, I got a pedicure. Now let's go out on the town shopping. I'm wearing open-toed shoes. That'll fix her little red wagon. That's what I would do. Rub it in her face. Or rub her face in it, one or the other. Speaking of grammar, I love double entendres. Those are fun. Like the one I just used. Toe jam. Amy. Fab Daddy says, some guys' toenails need a good foot job. And Debbie says, give me just a tip. Nails. Amanda appreciates that joke. Rich says, I will report back tomorrow night if I am asked. Well, we want to know. Obviously, you're one of us. We want to know you're taken care of. We want to know how she did you. Don't take that shit laying down, though. If she's going to break up with you, you put your foot down or something. Put something down. Put some pipe down or something. What it is says, so a woman can have a big O and turn on a man and say it was the R word. Yes. Yes, he can. And they will believe her without question. No proof needed. Watch yourself is what I'm saying. because that's what regret is after the fact. It's deciding you didn't like it. Also, I will tell you this, and women might get mad at me for saying this, but it's the truth. The difference between sexual assault and good sex is whether or not the man is handsome. If an ugly man gives a woman attention, she'll be repulsed by it. But if the hottest man she's ever seen gives her attention, she's turned on by it. Same attention, though. Same thing. Amy says, LOL, like we won't remember, Rich. Yeah, we're going to remember that you had the pedicure. And Debbie says, Amy, that's 𝕌𝕟𝕥𝕚𝕝𝕝𝕝𝕊𝕥𝕣𝕖, the official name for Toe Jam. 𝕌𝕟𝕚𝕝? Are you talking about the little character on the commercial? Rich S says, wait, I just remembered that she said she is paying too. My lucky day. It might be your unlucky day, but yeah, it sounds like a trap. It's a trap. I'm just saying. Amy says, I learned something new. Thanks, Debbie. Fab Daddy says, 𝕌𝕟𝕚𝕝 is a great word. It's like magma, but with an S and an E and no A or one A. What it is says, a man that won't take care of his toes makes a woman think what else he does not take care of. True. And Rich says, I think the online term is grape. Okay. Yeah, I don't do that. I'm a man and I meant what I said. I don't make up words intentionally. But you're right. That's what they're calling it because they don't want to get shut down by YouTube, which I probably will at some point. But no one will ever say that I lied to them, and no one will ever say that I played the game. I just tell the truth. If that's too hard for you to hear, I'm sorry. And that doesn't mean I'm always right either. I might not be right, but I think I am. That means something, right? Rich S says, and the PDF file. Yeah. The old PDF. What is this world coming to? It's coming to where guys can't be guys and girls want to be guys. And I have not understood that yet. Why? Why are women of this generation so awful? They're all just awful. Have you noticed that? Just awful, frumpy, and awful. Debbie says, 𝕌𝕟𝕚𝕝 is the harmless accumulation of skin oils, skin cells, and sweat. Nice. I thought that was called the icky stuff under my toenails. Amy says, it's also coming to wondering if guys are guys and women are women. Right. Rich says, oh, and unalive, yeah, or deleted. I like deleted better because unalive isn't a word. Unhoused, homeless, hobo, perverting the English language, says Rich. Correct. If you'll read 1984, no pun intended, you will notice that one of the things mentioned in that book is the changing of the meaning of words so that you get compliance from the people. It makes them easier to control when you can control how they think. So this is a very intentional thing being delivered to the American people about changing the meaning of words. And be careful of that, because once you start changing the meanings of words and they don't have meaning anymore, you can say whatever you want to say and it can mean whatever you want it to mean, which is not good. Curious Squirrel says, I like taking out, but not to lunch. Right? That's a good one, Curious Squirrel. Ladina says, expired. Yes. What it is says, my wife would say a woman needs to wash his high as possible and then wash as low as possible and then wash possible. Yep. Wash as high as possible, as low as possible, and then wash possible. Amy says, control the language, control the narrative. Correct. Very correct. And that is the defining characteristic of 2025. Just so you know, we are living in 1984, the book, not the time. That is exactly what's happening. Controlling the narrative. And it is breaking to some degree. We're seeing the light through the tunnel now. There are things coming to light, much by design, unfortunately, but it seems to be that this total domination of the way you're thinking is seeming to crack down a little bit. Hopefully, there's enough adults that will stand up and put a stop to this nonsense. But if they keep going, nothing you think will be yours. Nothing you do will be by your own choice. You don't want to live in that world. Amy says, ℂ𝕦𝕦𝕝𝕚𝕝𝕝𝕝. Nice. Fab Daddy says, so, YouTube is back at screwing up my stream with ads that are stuck with buffer symbols. Arg. I'm sorry, Fab Daddy. I have no control over that. Probably because of the subject matter that I'm talking about. They want to get as many people not hearing the truth as possible. That's a thing. Even though they would deny it to the nth degree, that is a thing. Every time I start talking about things like this, things start screwing up mysteriously. Despite the fact that they don't screw up any other time. Ladina says, is that a word, Amy? ℂ𝕦𝕦𝕝𝕚𝕚𝕝? ℂ𝕦𝕦? Like from Hillary? Hillary Clinton? Yeah. It's not a word, but message received. Amy says, like how they are trying to change attitudes with changes in the language. We used to call them pedos, and now they want us to call them maps. I'm not doing it. I'm not either. I'm calling them wood chipper fodder, because that's where they belong. Amy says, Ladina, think about President Clinton's wife. Now make it a verb. ℂ𝕦𝕦𝕝𝕚𝕚. Right on. Rich S says, is it weird that I haven't showered in 2 weeks if I have been in the pool every day? Just checking. No. Is it weird that you want to know that your behavior is weird or not? Yeah. You're a grown man. You should have had this figured out by now. Ladina says, those are the sickos. Yes. Yes, they are. Linda Davis says, ugh, Rich. Blech. Fab Daddy says, the pool is working hard to filter your dead skin. That's a person that doesn't care about anybody else in the pool. Ladina says, oh, I got it. Never heard that before. But now you have. And knowing is half the battle. Look, the only thing that's going to change the world we live in is the people that live in it. You can either let it happen or refuse to play the game. And that's where I'm falling down. And I imagine at some point that could either get me killed or thrown in prison. But I'm sorry. I'm just not going to do it. I'm not going to play that game. I'm a grown man. I make my own decisions. I learned how to live on my own, and I didn't need anybody to tell me how to do it then. I don't need them to tell me how to do it now. And if you want to hear what I got to say, you'll listen. If you don't, you won't. But I'm not playing that game. Nobody's going to tell me I cannot say something. I'm grown. To thine own self be true, says what it is. Exactly. Know thyself, and to thine own self be true. Exactly. And that's what I preach. Good or bad. You got to be who you are. And you can't pretend that you're somewhere you're not, or someone you're not. And that's a large part of what's going on in the world right now. They're building a facade. They're building an image of a place that does not exist, and they want you to live in it. And by they, I mean whoever's doing it. I'm not really sure who's in the puppet masters, but I can tell you the places that are doing it. YouTube is one of them. The news, all of those people in politics that you never knew their names 20 years ago. Do we need KY jelly when things start screwing up? Says what it is. Well, screw down and you won't have that problem. Fab Daddy says free speech is the ability to hear a thing you might not like. Right. Right. Just like nobody's ever been in trouble for telling a lie. They only get in trouble for telling the truth. A good president is the only kind of president that's ever been shot. Bad presidents don't get shot. You ever wonder why? Because good presidents are trying to change the narrative, change the way that things are going. Not the narrative, trying to break the narrative. Rich S says, I jump in the pool with my clothes on so I can do the laundry at the same time as I take a bath. Then I strip off and hang my clothes to dry for tomorrow. Not really, but I think it's efficient. It is if no one else is in the pool. Or gonna be. It's incredibly rude to them. You're one of those people that ask somebody if they had herpes after you've had sex with them, wouldn't you? Rich says, I live alone most of the time. That's apparent. But pools are community places, and you need to be clean when you go in there. Rich says, ha, Jake, right? That's a little trick I pull when I'm playing music. I'll reach down, grab somebody's beer to take a drink out of it, and I'll put it up to my lips, and I'll stop, and I'll say, you don't have herpes, do you? And then I'll take a drink, and they'll say, no. And I'll go, well, you do now. Amy says chlorine in the water with bleach will bleach your clothes. It will, yeah. But if you wear pasty clothes like salmon and khaki, doesn't matter. That's another thing you'll never see me wear is khaki or salmon. I might wear salmon. I'm not wearing khakis. I'm blue jeans all the way, even when I wear a suit. Well, they're black jeans, but still. Rich says it's a saltwater pool. Not like the ocean, but no chlorine. Weird. So there's nothing in there to kill all the germs you're putting in it? Is what you're saying? Blech. Take a shower, man. You remember when you used to go to the beach years and years ago and there was a little shower stand there? That's for when you go in the water and when you come out. What?
I said it filters through sand.
Yes. Filters through sand. Hey everybody, hit that like button, subscribe, share, support, join, and super chats are available if you like the content. If you think I'm worthy, share the show, tell everybody you know, send it out. Let's make a movement, start a religion, do something weird. Come on, y'all. Gas money, honey. Anyway. Amy says, Amanda says, salt water makes your skin soft. Yep. Amy says, it's a saltwater pool. Now, anyway. It is after you get in it, right? Because all the salt on your body comes off in the water. Fab Daddy says, ooh, fancy pools. Saltwater pools don't make your eyes red. True. They don't disinfect either. Rich says, yep. Salt kills germs, and I have a filter that runs nonstop. Is it your pool? Because if it is, that's okay. You can do that. If it's a community pool, take a bath. Amanda says, and it filters through salt and sand. Right on. What it is says, Jake, Have you ever slipped your clutch and shorted? No. Slipped my clutch? No. It's a good question, though. But no. I've never peed in the bed either. Not even as a child. I know all kids pee in the bed. Maybe when I was 2. Other than that, no. Curious Squirrel says, Lincoln Greenbacks, Kennedy U.S. Treasury notes. Nice. Kennedy U.S. Treasury notes. What are we talking about? Are we talking about currency? That's interesting. Do you have some of those? They might be valuable. Ladina says, Harley is hungry. Got to go feed the cat. Your cat's name is Harley? Sweet. That's odd because my Harley's name is Cat. Curious Girl says, my sister has saltwater pool. She's never had bacteria or algae problems. Cool. Well, it's an ocean thing. Yeah. Amy says, Ladina's cat is antisocial. All cats are antisocial. They don't like you. They don't like you. They don't need you, but they want you to feed them and sometimes pet them, but only if they want you to. They're like entitled women. For reals. For real. Fab Daddy says, why does my bladder want to race me home when I am 3 blocks from home? It's uncanny how often it happens. I don't know. Try not drinking on the way home. Rich says, my first car, I burnt the clutch in 3 days and returned to the dealer, and he gave me another one just like it. And I babied that clutch from there on out. I hear you. It's been a long time since I've had a car with a clutch in it. Long time. About 20 years. Curious Squirrel says, go back a little. The money was about the good presidents who were shot after taking our currency away from the banksters. Gotcha. Understood. Yes, they're trying to change the system for the better, like the industrial military complex, or like taking the gold standard off and putting the oil standard on, trying to combat that. That's why Kennedy was shot, among other things. Fighting the New World Order, going against the established narrative like Trump. That's why he got shot at. Reagan got shot at for the same reasons. You got to watch history and understand that the only time something like that happens is when you question the narrative, the one that the establishment places down. The establishment is the devil, for a lack of a better word. Not literally, but metaphysically. He's running the show. Principalities of the air. That's what the devil does. He runs the place. And if that's true, which it is, what would you expect to see if the devil actually ran the place? Well, you would expect to see Hillary Clinton doing spirit cooking and doing seances in the White House, talking to Eleanor Roosevelt. You would expect to see Aleister Crowley and that girl from that magazine that did all the spirit cooking stuff being members of the White House and coming in many times, and Jeffrey Epstein. You'd expect to see that, and trafficking and evil things under the surface. People doing insider trading and cocaine found in the White House, and just all kinds of evil little things underneath the surface. Everything looks good up here. It's all posh and up to par and just like you're supposed to be and prim and proper and buttoned up. But down here, it's all evil to the core. It's like House of Cards on full display. That is what we see, is it not? It is in fact true that the devil runs the place. Now, how do you combat that? Well, you can't. You got to live with it. You just have to refuse to play that game. It first takes identifying the problem. You got to see it. You have to understand what you're looking at when you see it. And that comes from reading the Bible, believe it or not, because it's all in there. Every detail is in there. You have to go look. It's in there. Trust me. And when you see it, you can't unsee it. And then you have to realize that there's a whole world going on outside of this, that we've got our head down in the mud with all this going on. There's a whole world going on that we're not part of. We're not privy to. All you got to do, though, is stand up, get your head out of the mud, and look around. There's a whole world, and it can do and be whatever you want it to be. But you have to want it to be. That's the problem. Take the red pill, eat the steak, go back into the matrix, or stand up and be alive and deal with the consequences. Amy says, where's Aaron? I don't know. The last time I spoke to him, he was having issues. I maybe need to call him. Ladina says, my whole household is antisocial. Mine too. I'm not antisocial. I'm anti-stupid. That's a problem, though, because there's a lot of that out there. Amanda says, I don't know, Amy. Amy says, LOL, Ladina. Maybe Aaron is working. He might be. I hope he's not in trouble, though. I need to call him. Now that you say something, I need to call him. Rich says, Ladina, sound like you need Monopoly night at your house. But that would be the opposite of antisocial. I feel you, Ladina. That's the very reason I do what I do for a living. Because I'm very shy and antisocial. I know it doesn't look like it, but it's true. I mean brutally, like knees knocking, hard to speak shy. Can't look you in the eye shy. But that's why I'm out. I'm an extrovert. I push it. I push things I'm scared of. I don't capitulate. I don't give in to it. I'm a hermit. It's in my DNA, and I've been fighting my whole life. I call it hermetism because that's what it is. It's a disease that I contracted from my father. He was a hermit also. And despite my best efforts, it comes out in ways that are surprising even to me because I have the intellect to know better, but I can't seem to stop it. It's just the way that it is. It's very easy for me to be in a room with tinfoil on the windows and doors closed and lights off all the time. I don't need to be that guy. Amy says the chinchillas would eat the Monopoly money. If you put it in their cage, I'm sure they would. Amanda says, Aaron sent me a message earlier, but I was sleeping. Well, what did he say? Was it good? Bad? Rich says, right. Who can resist coming out of their rooms to play a brutal game of Monopoly? I would be there. I don't like Monopoly. Not much of a board game guy. Ladina says, yes, anti-stupid. Right. There you go. And Amanda says it was just a video. Was it him dancing? Because if it wasn't, something's wrong. Now, if you wanted to sit around and listen to me play the guitar, we could do that. Or, anything other than a board game, a movie, we could do that. Preferably where everybody's paying attention and the movie's good. Or the movie's bad and everybody's shitting on the movie. That would be fun. Sometimes that can be very entertaining. There he is. Aaron says, peekaboo. How you doing, brother? I was just about to call you after the show. I was starting to worry about you. Amy said, where's Aaron? And I'm like, yeah, where is Aaron? Ain't right. Amanda says, I haven't watched it yet, but I messaged him and he said he's just tired. I hear you, me too. I'm with you there, Aaron. Get you some rest, brother. Amanda says, hello, Aaron. Aaron says, I was summoned. Right on. Ladina says, yep, same. I am only comfortable at home and with my church family. I try to be friendly to people, and it sometimes comes across as awkward. Yeah, for me, being personable is exhausting. This is not a natural state for me. This is a job that I perform, right? I know people don't understand this, but you have to know who I am. It might be, I don't know what you'd call it, Asperger's, sociopath. I don't know what it is. All I know is that nice and talkative is not natural. I'm very stoic. I'm very centered and inward in my brain. I think a lot. So for me to be personable, to have a personality, to look you in the eye and smile and be bubbly, that is a job, and it's exhausting. And if I do that for like 6 hours, I have put in some severe work, right? And I'm tired at the end of it. Then I just shut down, and it's just silence. So to be an entertainer in that situation, everything I do is part of my job. Everything, every word I say, every expression that I give, it is all a gift. It is all a thing that's happening on purpose. It's not natural. So I understand where you're coming from, and it takes time. For the first half of my life, everything I did was awkward, out of step, out of touch, out of reach, whatever you want to call it, a step behind, a step ahead. It takes time to learn how to react to what other people say, to gauge what it is they want from you, and then give them that. I have this problem where I'll tell a joke and nobody gets it, right? Or I'll respond to something, what I think in my head is funny, and they take it seriously. And they're like angry at me because they thought I was serious. Things like that. Takes a while to get the hang of that. So if you suffer from that, the best medicine is exposure. Have friends. Go out and touch people. Talk to people. Make contact, because that's the only way out of it. Debbie says, finally, Aaron, I wore no pants just for you. That's a blessing. Amy says, darn it, I hit my elbow. Why is it called a funny bone when it's not funny? I don't know. Probably because it's hilarious to everybody watching. It's not funny to you at all, though. I get it. Aaron says, dang, Debbie, I'm honored. And Amy says, Aaron, hi, kissy, kissy, kissy heart. Aaron says, you were always humorous, Amy. Humorous, get it? Humorous. That's a doctor joke. You'll get that tomorrow. Read Grey's Anatomy. What it is says, I pushed myself to ask my chiropractor out to go out to dinner with me because that's what I want. Because that's what I used to do with my wife when she said that she would, and we went on our first lunch together, and then next Friday. Congratulations, you went out on a date with your chiropractor. That's awesome. You go, what it is. Love is in the air. I can feel it. Amy says, Ladina is always nice to me when I come over. Yeah, but I understand what she's talking about, that it's what some people do naturally is a chore for people like us. And if she's showing you any nicety, know that she really does like you, because that's not something she would do naturally. And Linda says, I can talk to anyone, anywhere. I'm just in a funk lately and don't want to even leave my house. I understand that. But you are such a lovely lady and you have such a great personality. It's a shame that the rest of the world doesn't get to experience that while you're at home feeling in a funk. And might I suggest for you is to make someone else's problem your problem, because you seem to be uniquely good at fixing things for people. You seem to be a healer in that way. And I just bet that if you took on someone else's issue, it would make you think less about yourself and more about them and ease up that funk that you're in. That's just my guess. But that would be my prescription, is for you to solve a problem for somebody. Show love outwardly. If you can't get it inwardly, show it outwardly. Fight fire with fire. Give the opposite of what you're not getting. And you might find love in other places. Debbie says, every breath you take, every move you make, every step you take. I got pictures of your feet. What it is will be dinner, and she's bringing her daughter. Well, that's one of two things. Either that's trust in allowing you into her daughter's life, or it's a cock block because she don't want nothing to start. You have to judge that for yourself. But I think that's a good move in that direction, what it is. Congratulations. Amy says, good luck, what it is. Good luck, for sure. Aaron says, hi, Amy. Kissy faces and hugs. That's a kissy face with herpes, by the way. That's a good one. Ladina says, Amy, you and Amy G are my family too. You are easy, be nice. You're easy to be nice to. Speaking of Amy's, where's Amy Bordeaux lately? I haven't seen her in a while. Amy says, oh, Ladina. And Amy says, ooh, free adjustments, right? Taking a chiropractor has perks. And Linda says, you are probably right, Jake. I think I am. And I think that would do you a world of good. And you deserve all the love. You're a very, very good lady. And I'm sorry that you're going through what you're going through. But just know that all things have a season, and this too will pass. Amanda says, LOL, Amy, that's a message with a happy ending. That's a massage with a happy ending. Hey, Rich, you want to know what a happy ending is? Ask what it is in about 2 days. Aaron says, Amy, I got your free adjustment. Amy says, I have a bad temper. It doesn't happen often, but when it does, I'm like Bill Bixby, you know. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry. You wouldn't like it when I'm angry. Yeah, me too. Amy, I totally understand. And it's night and day. I don't even like to be like that. I'm embarrassed by it. I'm ashamed of it. And I try very hard to keep it under wraps, but I do also have quite the temper. Amanda says, oh, damn, Aaron. Watch out, Amy. Aaron's going to put it to you. Aaron says, Debbie says, I feel dirty reading that message to Amy from Aaron. There's nothing dirty about that. That's nothing but love right there. Amy says, Amy B is in recovery program. Is she? What happened? I hope she's doing all right. Aaron says, LOL, adjust it, then blow it back out and adjust it again. Nice. Aaron says, Debbie, I was born dirty. Aaron says, I was born on a bad sign. I'm the guy your mama warned you about. My man. Borderline, like it should be. Well, I've had a good time tonight. Like, subscribe, share, support, join. Super chats are available in the chat box. And if you want to feed Jake, hit that Cash App, $ Jake Johnson Band if you can. Put some gas in the gas tank. What it is says, nope, it still costs money. I've been with her for so long that she gives me a deal. So in order to make up with the prices, she raises it. Kind of helps make up for it. I hear you. Well, be a gentleman and pay your fee. If you go to her office, pay her fee. Don't let her give you freebies because that's her job. And you respect that, and that shows her that you're a leader and that you respect her sovereignty, which is a good thing. If a woman has a job, she needs to feel like she's doing something. So make sure you pay her. Don't expect it for nothing, even at home. But if she offers, take full advantage. You're a good man, I can tell. And, you know, she probably needs one of those. Aaron says, yep, a dirty gentleman. Yep, he'll hold the door while he's backing it up. What it is says the adjustments. I got you. I know what you're talking about. Debbie says, Aaron, I was born a good girl. I don't understand dirty. I don't believe a word you're saying. You were born a good girl and just got bigger? Is that what you're saying? What do you mean by good girl? Good from your perspective or good from mine? Because in my mind, a good girl is a completely different thing than what you think it means. They used to call them sports back in the day. Back in my grandpa's days, a girl like that would be a good sport. Thank you, dear. You're a good sport. I am so lucky to have a good sport in my life. That is a thing that most men dream of and very few ever get. And it has its dividends. Believe that. If you're lucky enough to have one of those, I would strongly suggest you hold on to it with everything you have and never let go. Do whatever it takes. Aaron says, true statement, Jake. Yes, sir, it is. I know what I got. I know how long it took me to get it, too. Like that. I'm just kidding. Dennis Bigfoot. What's up, brother? He says, sup, Jake and Chat. Nice to see you, Dennis. How you doing on a Friday? All I had to do was play that ice cream song. Amanda says, hi, Dennis. And Dennis says, I'm okay. Good. Good to hear it. I'm okay, too. Aaron says, Debbie, wait an hour. You'll be dirty. Oh, well. Amy says, I need to work on putting the chimes back on my wind chimes. They're not wind chimes. If they don't have chimes on them, they're just string. Dennis Bigfoot says, hey, Amanda. And Amanda says, LOL, 30 years ago. 35. Amy says, I'll add that to my ever growing up, but do list. I'll add that to my ever growing up, but to-do list. Got it. Ever growing up list. Got it. Of to-dos. Yeah, I've got one of those, and it's overwhelming. Almost paralyzes me just thinking about it. Too much stuff to do. Aaron says, chimes need vibration to make noise, Amy. They also need chimey things. I'm thinking her chimes have fallen off of the apparatus that holds the chimes, so it's just string. Amy says, hi, Dennis. And Dennis says, hey, Amy. Sorry for the squeaking. My voice is trying to give out on me. It's 10:05. Aaron says, I'm really shiny. Why are you shiny? What have you been doing? Have you been polishing again? I told you about all that polishing, boy. Make you go blind. Amanda says, LOL, that's how I get Jake to make noise? Vibration? Oh, yeah. Aaron says, I'm trying to be Amy's chimes, right? Debbie says, don't you mean ashy, Aaron? He's trying to be shiny like the chimes. I get it now. Amy says, I never do my to-do list. So it's a to-don't list. A to maybe later list. Aaron says, I'm never ashy, naturally smooth, like good coffee. Nice. Amy, I got the to won't list, says Aaron. I got my to won't list. I ain't gonna do it. I got a list. It's just overwhelmingly big. Lots and lots of little things. And it's all little things. It's nothing major. But so many little things add up till they're over my head. Because I spent 15 years by myself and I work like I work. Nothing gets done. Debbie says, I'm Italian. I get ashy. And oily. With a little bit of vinaigrette. Amy says, yep, exactly. The chimes fell off. My husband used to get me one every year for my birthday. Aw. Oh, yeah, you got to get that back up and running. Dennis says, mine's a I'll start it and finish it later list. Yeah. Be careful of those. You'll be starting a lot of things and never finishing them. You'll be like me with a bunch of open projects that never seem to get done. Aaron says, or I want someone else to do list. Right on. Amanda says, Jake says, I'm going to do it tomorrow. And it's still not done list. Debbie says, I haven't. Someone needs to be hired for that list. Me too. But I don't have the money to hire anybody, so it's a to me list. Dennis says, you can finish it. I know. And Linda says, I have a honey-do list that have the same things on it for the last 15 years. Wow. That's a honey ain't gonna do list. That's horrible. I feel you, though. Me too. Aaron says, I'm always the guy doing the fixing or being called. Me too. That's what guys are supposed to do, though, Aaron. We don't get to bitch about that. That's just the lot in life. The trouble with this is that the other people don't do their part when you are doing yours. That's the problem. You see, men aren't supposed to have feelings. We're not supposed to be vulnerable. We're not supposed to be weak. We're supposed to get the job done, see that the job needs to be done, get the job done, and have more to do later. And that's just the way it's supposed to be. And when problems arise, you're the guy to call, because that means you're the guy they call. That means they trust you to fix the problem. And you are trustworthy because the problem gets fixed. The problem with that is you do that for a reciprocation, because you need the girl that's going to have the house clean and the food cooked and the whatever the thing that she's supposed to do, so that you can be that guy, and only one side of that's getting done. This is a problem. This is where the battle of the sexes has ruined all of that, because there's a large group of women who have been waylaid into believing in a thing that only existed for a very brief time in the 60s and immediately was hijacked, and 3 or 4 waves later something completely different than what was intended, which was a noble thing called feminism. And that has ruined an entire generation of women. And you would be playing hell to find a good one these days that understands her role in this hierarchy of a relationship. Your role, her role, they complement each other. You find one of those, you hang on with everything you got, because they're not a lot of them out there. They don't make them like that anymore. So look hard and settle with what you can find and take good care of it, because it is a dying thing. And Linda says, yep, I figured that out. Aaron says, yep, they take advantage. Most do, yeah. Amy says, Linda, honey-do rots after a few years. Yes, that does. Aaron says, not if you eat it, Amy. I think that was a threat. Or a promise. Woof. Amy says, unless it's one of those Mediterranean melons from Cindy Crawford. Yeah, what's up with that? If there's ever a such thing as a vampire, she's it. That woman looks exactly like she did in 1982. Aaron says, LOL, fake melons. Hey, listen to me. You listen to me like you've never listened to anybody in your life. If you can squeeze them, they're real. Ladina says, I break things, my husband fixes them. He is my knight in shining black pickup truck. Right on, Ladina. That's good. That's a good husband. But you need to take care of him because he's fixing those things for you. There's nothing sexier to a woman than a man that can build a table. So I recommend you build her a table if you're out there trying to impress a woman or something. Build her something. But do not build her a table if she's not going to take care of the food that goes on that table. Or whatever it is that you need her to do. Because it's not always that cut and dry. I'm using stereotypes, obviously. There's different things that different relationships need. Sometimes the woman does the work and the man cleans the house. That's not unheard of. It's not natural, but there are relationships that work like that. Whatever it is that you're providing, you need the opposite of that provided also. And if you're not getting it, it's a one-sided relationship that will fail. You need to make sure that both of you are adult enough and you've had this conversation. You know what you expect from each other. And you negotiate your ends. This is what I need. What do you need? And let's compromise. Let's make sure that we're providing for each other's needs. I'm using stereotypes because that's what I know. I need food on the table, bed made, floor clean, clothes clean, that sort of thing. And for that, I provide everything that needs to be provided. That's the job. You got to be the guy that walks out and checks out that bump in the night. You need to be the guy that runs back into the burning building or give up your seat when the boat's going down. But because of that, this is what I need. If you can't have that conversation, you're not ready to be in a relationship. Linda says, I had to pay a roofer to put on my roof this past year just to make sure I didn't lose my homeowner's insurance. I wish you were closer. I would have roofed your house for you. And I'm sorry you had to do that. Dennis says, like King's Hawaiian rolls. Nice. Those are good. I prefer, I can't call what they're called. Grands. I like the Grands. Grand biscuits. Aaron says, squeeze. If you can squeeze them, they're real, buddy. Don't let them lie to you. They don't have personalities. They don't have spirits. They're just flesh. And silicone is fleshy. Amanda says, real silicone. Hey. It's soft. That's all it needs to be. It doesn't have to do anything. It just has to look a certain way. Amy says, Ladina is a good wife to her husband, too. I bet she is. And I bet he's a good man, and I bet that's a good relationship. And like I said, it doesn't matter what role you play in a relationship. It doesn't matter if you're the man and she's the woman or whatever. Whatever role you take, you need to play that role properly. If you're going to be the little wife, then you need to act like the little wife. Put your hair up, put some makeup on, make an effort. Have dinner ready when he comes home from work. Be inviting, be warm. Those are things that the little wife are. If you're not doing those things, you're not being the little wife. And if you want him to be the big man, then you got to be the little wife because that's what the complement of that is. If you have a different type of relationship, which I don't know anything about, but there are different types of relationships, then you got to be whatever the opposite of what he's being or she's being. The whole idea is to complement one another. And if you can do that, you've got something good, worth having. But, again, and I stress this, and I've done it many times, and I'll do it again, when you begin a relationship, have a day. Sit down across from each other and have a conversation. And put it all out on the table. Don't leave anything out. Don't be coy. Tell her what you need. Tell her what she needs to tell you. Tell her what you need to know, what you need to be comfortable with, what your lines are, what your deal breakers are. Make sure that the conversation is had. Negotiate your relationship. It will be way better for you in the long run if you both know what to expect. Without any guesswork, this is the way it is. If you can't do that, you're in for a bad time because it always ends on a cliffhanger of she didn't know that or you didn't know that. That's usually the problem. You didn't provide something she needed, or she didn't do what you needed because you didn't tell her. She's not a mind reader. Aaron says, Silicon Valley. Amanda says, I wouldn't want to grab something that's supposed to be soft and squishy and find it that it's hard. That's not what you told me earlier. Amy says, sad face. I had that once. I understand that. And you can choose to stay that way, or you can go have it again. Either way, you're in the right. You're in the clear. There's no harm there. It's noble to hang on to that. It's also noble to rebuild and make use of what life you have left, because you're still alive. However you embrace that idea is totally fine. There's no wrong in how you approach this. But all I'm telling you is don't hurt yourself for the sake of nobility. Don't do that. You still have to live. And you still need what you still need. And you did have that. And that's, believe it or not, very rare. That's not a thing everybody gets. That's not assured in your life that you're going to have that. So the fact that you had it is a beautiful gift that you can now look back on fondly and remember having. If you could make that happen twice, that's almost a miracle. But however you proceed, just know that you did your part and it was good. And there's nothing to not be proud about. That's a good relationship that you look back on from what I've heard. Be proud of it. Amanda says, they absolutely do have to do something. You use them as a pillow. So there. Yes. A soft, squishy pillow. I don't know if you've squeezed a lot of silicone, but they're not hard. They're firm, but pliable. And I'm only joking, by the way. I don't care for those things. I like the little ones anyway, you know that. But I don't have any problem with it. I think it's ridiculous spending money, but if you want to do that and you got it, flaunt it. Aaron says, Amanda, always on it. Yes, she is. And Debbie says, Amanda, if they are big enough, they can hold your dinner plate at a picnic. Also, they can serve as a flotation device if your boat goes down or your plane goes down. So there. There's many uses for those things. You can also use them as a speed bag if you get bored. Linda says, hell, my girls have a mind of their own. They try to break out when they want to, even though they don't stand at attention anymore. They go that way, right? I understand. It happens to us all. We can't all be young and hot forever. That's why you should use that while you have it to attract your perfect mate, so that when you're no longer young and hot, you can ease through the rest of your life. Unfortunately, we're taught these days to spread it as thin as we can while we're young, sowing your royal oats or whatnot. That's the wrong approach. You should be looking for number one. Use that attractiveness as a lure to get number one, and then stay with that girl or guy. The Bible says to marry the love of your youth. The girl you fell in love with first, that's the girl you need to marry. That's what the Bible says. I got lucky enough that somehow I ended up with that. It was not my doing. That my life just kind of circled back. So, thank you, Lord. Amanda says, well, Aaron, he even fluffs them up. My butt, too. So they have to do something. Yep, pillow. Nice. Aaron says, Amy, like you told me, you can have it again. Fab Daddy says, I left because of the freeze frame with ads. I'll give you another chance, fingers crossed. Well, it's not my doing. Ladina says, I'm 4'10" and he's 6'2". I hear you. No way I can be bigger than my husband. Just kidding. I know what you mean. Actually, that math works pretty good if you're doing certain things. Amanda says, hang on. Amanda says, that's supposed to be hard, and if I grab it, I'll leave that one alone. Aaron says, Fab, it turns the screen black. It sucks. Yeah, I'm sorry about that, guys. There's nothing I can do about it. I got to make a living somehow. Debbie says, Amanda, I wouldn't want to grab something that is supposed to be hard and find it soft and squishy. Touche. Amanda says, LOL, Ladina. Well, when you're nose to nose, your toes are in it. And when you're toes to toes, your nose is in it. That's the way it's supposed to be. Amanda says, LOL, right, Debbie? And Amy says, LOL. Aaron says, I'm going to get old and lukewarm and still be handsome. You might. You might. I am not. I'm losing handsome like acid wash. If I ever was in the first place. I don't even know that I was. I just thought I was. God's gift and all that. But, you know, that goes away quick. I think I'm doing all right to be 50 years old, but come on. Can't stay forever. And Linda says, unfortunately, I thought I had it. And now I'm old and my best days are behind me. Well, it depends on what you're calling your best days for. They might be in front of you. What is it that you define as your best days? What attribute of you do you think is the best that you could give out? But I understand where you're coming from, and sometimes that does happen. But it's never too late. In fact, I've heard a few people in this chat that would love to have somebody that would take care of them like you do. I guarantee you it's not over. Unless you want it to be. Amy says, shh, Linda, you're beautiful. I think so. I think there's a lot of guys be lucky to have you. Aaron says, nah, Linda, you got some living to do. And I agree with Amy. And Jake can skip ads and flash a feet slideshow. If that would take care of me, I would do that in a heartbeat. But it won't. I couldn't expect anybody to do that. And Debbie says, I had that, and his love still sustains me. I might be alone, but I'm not lonely. And that's beautiful, Debbie. I'm glad to hear that. And you're a wonderful gal, too, by the way. Fab Daddy says, you never know, Linda, if the best is behind you, as long as you look forward. That's true. Dennis Bigfoot says, oh, Jake, you're a pretty little baby. Well, thank you. Amanda says, LOL, ninnies and feet slideshow. Aaron says, Debbie, that sounds like a good thing. It is. Debbie says, ninnies and feet. I'm there. Right on. Amy says, everyone hide. The police are in the parking lot. Arg. Fab Daddy says, arg. Black screen of death. I rebuke you in the name of the Lord. Aaron says, Jake, they found you. Ladina says, they're coming to take you away. Ha ha. Wicked Witch of the West. Fab Daddy says, Amy, I'm pulling out my phone and recording. Yeah, Jake don't like the police. I got outlaw tattooed on my arm. I'm as outlaw as they come. Walter Davis says, good evening, all. Speak of the devil. What's up, buddy? Aaron says, my ninnies are getting set free. That's terrifying. Mine are just perky and beautiful. Apparently, like a little baby, according to Dennis. I don't know what you meant by that, but I like it. Aaron says, I read that one. Aaron says, the popo, nope, I'm out. I want to live. Right on. Dennis says, I don't know about that, Aaron. Amy says, speaking of honeydew, hi, Walter. Honeydew, honeydew. Aaron says, I do. And Fab Daddy says, puff, 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 pass. Cough. Right on. I don't do any of the puff puffing unless it's cigarettes, but I'll pass. Amanda says, hi, Walter. And Dennis says, the song Pretty Little Baby. Right on. I'm just me, Dennis. I don't know what it is, but I act like I'm 6 foot tall and gorgeous. Built like an Adonis, a Greek god, as it were. I'm really built like a Chinese god, but that's all right. I feel like I'm strong and powerful. Walter Davis says, hi, Jake, Ladina, Fab, Aaron, Dennis, Amanda, Debbie, Linda, Amy. What's up, buddy? Nice to see you. How are things? All right, though, sadly, it is 10:30, and I do have to get up and go into the office tomorrow. Fab Daddy says, Walter, how's the remodeling going? How is the remodel going? Are we remodeling? That one got away from me. Did you see that? Dennis says, hey, Walter. And Amy says, Connie Francis. Right on. Take the ribbon from your hair. Shake it loose and let it fall. Lay it soft against my skin like a shadow on the wall. Come and lay down by my side till the early morning light. I'm not asking for a lot. Help me make it through the night. Walter says, hey, Connie. Hey, Connie. Connie? Connie Francis. Dennis says, yep, that's her. I think she's 87. Wow. She died? It's terrible. Ladina says, time for my antibiotic. I hate having to remember to take meds on a schedule. Hi. Yeah, me too. Patty says, thank you, Miss Amanda and Jake, Patty. Thank you. Ladina says, I have to be into work by 5 a.m. I'm not going in that early, but I got about an hour's work I got to do tomorrow. My power got cut off today. They're working on something up a town. The whole town went out. So I had to quit and come home early. I got to go finish what I started. Fab Daddy says, those steroids got you singing. Barely. I can't quite make the notes. You hear my voice cutting out. Sometimes I open my mouth and nothing comes out. But it is working. It's getting better. Soon I'll try to do something with the guitar, but right now I can't do it. Walter says, Fab, the remodel is good. I spent the day on the roof in 100 degrees. Amanda says, you're welcome, Patty Hun. Amy says, bye, Ladina. I'll message you tomorrow. Ladina, God bless you, sweetheart. Take them meds and be healthy. We'll see you next time. Dennis says, I was practicing karaoke earlier. Chris Stapleton, you're as smooth as Tennessee whiskey. Yep, that's a good song, but it's better the way David Allan Coe did it. Linda says, nice, Dennis. Did you record it? Yeah, let's hear you sing it, buddy. I'll let you hear one of mine if you let me hear one of yours. Dennis says, the app did, but I can't get it to play back. Well, that's not good. We want to hear it, though. If you get a good recording, email it to me and I'll put it up. Here's my email address if you don't have it. UntetheredLivestream@gmail.com. Dennis says, I'll do long-haired country boy. Now you talking. People say I'm no good, crazy as a loon. I get stoned in the morning, pop pills in the afternoon. Kinda like an old blue tick hound, like to lay around in the shade. I ain't got no money, but Jake knows how to get laid, and I ain't asking nobody for nothing. I can't get it on my own. If you don't like the way I'm living, you just leave this long-haired country boy alone. A rich boy learns to marry, a poor boy drives a truck. A rich girl learns to rock and roll, and a poor girl learns to fuck. A drunk girl wants another drink of wine, and a politician wants to vote. I don't want much of nothing at all, but I will take another toke, 'cause I ain't asking nobody for nothing. I can't get it on my own. If you don't like the way I'm living, you just leave this long-haired country boy alone. All right, boys and girls, I'm out of here. Thank you for taking good care of me. I'll see you guys tomorrow night on Politics. How about that for an ending? It was terrible, but I did it. Ladina says, progress is progress. Good night, all. Right on, Ladina. Right on. Walter says, it's a rebuild. Only 2 walls stayed standing. Terrible. And Linda says, you need to post it, Dennis, when you get it to play. Right on. Let's hear you play, buddy. Can't be worse than what I just did. Dennis says, I used to hang out with a family who played and sang back when I was about 15 or 16, and they did that song, and I thought they wrote it. They were that good. That's awesome, Dennis. Walter says, that's true, Jake. Yes, it is. Aaron says, Jake, tough with the strumming. I was just using my fingers. I wasn't even trying. Trying to just squeak something out on my voice. It just ain't good. Fab Daddy says, clappy, clappy. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I wish I could play. You can play. There's no magic, buddy. Get you a guitar and put your hands on it. That's it. If you do that for about 10,000 hours, you will be able to play. I'll teach you whatever you want to know if you decide you want to play. If you don't have a guitar, I'll send you one. How about that? I can't make it any easier. Amanda says, good night all. See you tomorrow night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time right here on Untethered Live for Politics. Much love, y'all. We got some stuff to talk about, too. There's been some crazy shit happening in the world this week. The news cycle has been a buzz. Patty says, bravo. I tried. Amy says, duck, 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 dance. Linda says, thank you all. Love you all. Good night, Linda. Good night, sweetheart. I love you. I hope you get to feeling much, much better. You are loved. Dennis says, peace, love, and happiness to you all. Dennis, God bless you, sir. Get us that song. We want to hear it. We want to revel in your talent. Email it to us. Aaron says, Amy, you duck dance. Maybe you can dance with a peacock. Right on. Walter Davis says, good night, Linda. Amy says, good night. Love y'all. Amy, good night. I love you too, sweetheart. Peacock dance. Aaron says, I missed what Jake said. It was an ad. You missed what I said. What did I say? I'll say it again. About playing guitar, you can play. Just get you a guitar and put your hands on it. That's all. There's no magic. It's just time. I'll teach you whatever you want to know. As good as you want to get, I can make that happen. You already have rhythm. I mean, you were born with it. You got blessed like that. Just put that application to the guitar and you can do it. If you don't have a guitar, I'll send you one. I got plenty. Can't make it any easier. How's that? I think that's what I said. And Linda says, good night, Walter. Oh. Dennis Bigfoot says, Chuck Manoni passed away. Magiani. I'm sorry to hear that, Dennis. Who's Chuck Magiani? Amanda says, he said he'd send you a guitar to learn on. Dennis says, I bet you do. I bet I do what? Oh, know how to get laid? I do. Aaron says, really? Really? Hi, Jake. I say things that I mean. Amanda says, yes, Aaron. And Aaron says, thank you. Right? I didn't say it because I wanted you to hear it. I said it because I meant it. Mangiani. Okay, who's Chuck Mangiani? What kind you want? Electric? Acoustic? Bass? Weird? I got it. Matter of fact, I've got 12 of them behind me. Right now. In this much space. Mangiani. Mangiani. Why does he have a G on his knee? Is his knee a Mason? Who is Mangiani? Dennis Bigfoot says, smiley, smiley. Who is it? I had time to visit the damn funeral by now. Linda Davis says, he is a musician. Feels so good. Okay. Oh, feels so... No, that's Alabama. Feels so good. Amanda says, I have 7 guitars hanging where I'm at. See? And there's 5 underneath them. In cases. And 4 more in cases on the floor. See? And then it says, he played music for King of the Hill. Yep. All right. I'm sorry to hear that. Linda Davis says he plays the trumpet in his music. Got it. And he also voiced John Redcorn. Okay. That's a King of the Hill reference. I know that. Aaron says, I don't have the words. It would be, my address is such and such. Dennis says, he jazz horn player. Right on. Walter says, had a band in the 70s, big on brass horns. But that can be done quite well. Especially if it has that Louisiana kind of swagger to it. I like that. And Amanda says, oh, Jake, he's the one I told you about earlier. All right. There's a lot of dying going on this week. Hulk Hogan. I'm not ripping my shirt, though. Dale Dribble finally found out. Amy says, I don't watch the show, so I don't know what you're talking about, but I do know the character. Linda says, you will know if you look him up, Jake. I will. And Dennis Bigfoot says, smiley, smiley. Gribble, not dribble. Dale Gribble for mayor. Aaron says, my daughter plays guitar and she makes emo songs. That's cool. I know a little bit about emo songs. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Dennis says it's Dale Gribble. And Dennis says, dribble. So, do you have a guitar or do you need one, Aaron? And what would it be if you did? Dennis says, I'm dying. Don't die, Dennis. We need you, buddy. We need you as a soldier over here. Dribble, dribble, dribble. I have a dribble. I don't have a dribble or a gribble, but I have a dribble. And a bunch of guitars. And some pretty ones, too. I got to make one for a friend of mine, so I might as well make you one, too. And yes, I meant I would build it. Amanda says, well, the dribble depends, Jake. Yeah, if she's excited, she dribbles. Aaron says, I think acoustic, but you don't have to send me one. It's your call, buddy. It's an offer I made. I'll stick to it. But if I send you one, you got to learn how to play it. That's the deal. Wouldn't feel right. Why wouldn't it feel right? Haven't you sent me stuff before? Why wouldn't it feel right? If it feels wrong, buy it from me. If it make you feel better. Amy says, I watched the show with my son. I know about Bobby and Connie and Peggy, the whole crew. Speaking of Peggy, did you hear that Married with Children is doing a movie? Like now? How about that? I didn't even know they were all still alive. And Debbie says, Amanda, that dribble is pee. It is. Squirting is a myth. And Fab Daddy says, I just wrote a song. Good. Let's hear it. And Amanda says, LOL, squirt, squirt, Debbie. All right, I do have to go. I love you guys. Fab Daddy says, FAFO. Now I'm going to kick your ass. Aaron says, oh, I'd play it. You would have to, because it would either be one I made just for you, or it would be one that came out of my collection. Either way, my DNA would be all over it. And if I sent that to you and you didn't play it, that would be very insulting. But, yeah, I'll send you one. If you need it, I'm down. And I'll teach you how to play it. I mean, what you do with the information is up to you, but there is no magic. It's just a few things you got to know, and then you got to spend a lot of time doing it. That's it. It depends on how much you love it or how bad you want to be good at it. You might catch the bug. You might not. You might just want to sit around and thumb on your couch. It might hit you, and you might want to become a real musician. If it does, that's beautiful. But a man should know how to play an instrument. How can you handle a woman if you can't twiddle a few notes or tickle some ivories? That shows your emotional side. It gives you emotional depth. I believe in that. Dennis says, I'm also practicing crip walking. I don't know what that is. Is that where you get on your hands and knees backwards and walk? Aaron says, I play piano. Nice. So do I. Walter says, good night all. God bless and thanks, Jake. Walter, thank you, buddy. Aaron says, LOL. They're not like us. And Dennis says, it's a dance. Oh, okay. Amanda says, LOL, flick some ivory. Ivory beans, Jake. Flicking the bean. I hear you. Aaron says, Dennis. All right, it is 10:48 and I got to go to bed. Thank you all so much for being here. Like, subscribe, share, support, join Super Chat. Cash App, $, Jake Johnson Band, PayPal.me/Jake Johnson Band. I love you. I'll see you tomorrow night for politics. We're going to get down into dirty weeds. We're going to find out if such and such did such and if they're responsible for and if their list is, we're going to get down in it. We're going to find out. Dennis says, Amanda, show Jake what crip walking is. Okay. Dennis says, Aaron. All right. I love you all. Thanks for watching.